I understand that there are going to be people who see this get posted and they're like, I don't want to talk about this. All right, gotcha. Here's the thing. What's going on with William Nylander right now in Toronto, while yes, it's getting reported on a ton, I'm trying not to report on it too much. We're reaching the point where it looks like this could be going into whole new territory. Mike Peca, 2000-2001, he told the Buffalo Sabres to take their offer and stick it. Buffalo said, "You got it, boss." And that was the end of that. He sat out the entire 2000-2001 season. That's the last time it's happened. And reportedly the Leafs are completely fine with he can sit. And Leaf fans come out and say he's greedy. He's thinking of himself. Peca was 26 at the time that he sat out the entire season for the Buffalo Sabres. He was then traded to the New York Islanders for. Let me go ahead and get that here. I had it. He was traded for Taylor Pyatt and Tim Connolly. So 2 first-round draft picks, basically. 2 already drafted first-round draft picks. Going to the Buffalo Sabres, and Pyatt would be decent, and Connolly would be decent for them too. I think the Leafs return for Nylander. I think they want something big, and I think 2 former first-round draft picks might get it done. But we've been discussing that to death. The interesting thing with Mike Peca is, while he was persona non grata for the Sabres and likely for their fans, it was a long time ago. I can't remember how much Sabre fans hated Peca after that. But his season after that occurred, in 2001-2002, for the New York Islanders, he played 80 games, had 25 goals, 60 points, got the Selke Trophy for Defensive Forward of the Year, and got the Islanders to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. So, and he wasn't the only reason, but he was a part of that reason. And he had a couple of solid years, and then there was an incident with Darcy Tucker, and he seemed to be a little bit off after that. And Peck is one of those guys who was divisive during his days in the league. We can all look back now and talk about what a great defensive forward he was. But yeah, in his time, he was seen kind of as selfish. When you look at Alexei Yashin's one with the Ottawa Senators as well, he went through, I want my money. I don't care if I've got a contract. I'm not getting paid enough money. He was seen as very greedy. And it's one of those touchy things. We'll see a guy get a bunch of money from a team and we'll go, that's greedy. He took that much money. We don't look at it from a point of view of they offered that much. We look at it from a point of view of, well, he's greedy for taking that much. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this with Nylander if it goes past December 1st, because I think Leaf fans are very passionate about their team, obviously. And if he signs before December 1st, I don't think there's going to be any hard feelings beyond maybe the first couple of games. Or beyond his first shift, if he gets a goal right away, they might go, yeah, we always knew, we loved him. I think with Nylander, the difference between Nylander and Peca is that there's a 5-year difference there. I believe Nylander's still 21. And we're not sure what Nylander's ceiling is yet, but it seems higher than Mike Peca's. At the time Mike Peca held out, we knew what he was. We knew he was one of the best defensive forwards in the league. We knew when he was motivated, he was dangerous at both ends of the ice. And he was a guy that was a little bit of everything. Now, when you look at Nylander, he is a skilled forward, tremendous passer, deceptively good shot, and I think the upside with Nylander is pretty darn high. So I can totally understand from a Toronto point of view, if you want to trade him, you're trading that potential. But if you're going to pay him, are you going to pay him for that potential? And word has it that he looks at this and he thinks he can get more money elsewhere because he can. If the Leafs are offering him $6.5 million over a long-term contract, he can absolutely make more than that somewhere else. Not because he's earned it or he deserves it, but because somebody somewhere has the cap space to say, you know what, we'll give him X amount of dollars more than Toronto will because we need him. You look at Toronto's record right now. They're 14-6. You can argue that they don't need Nylander. They're getting Matthews back in probably a week. That's going to help them tremendously. And they haven't really suffered that much with Matthews out. At the beginning, it looked like they were going to, but Tavares has done exactly what he was brought in to do, to absorb any kind of losses through injury and to kind of make them injury-proof up front. The blue line, they're not injury proof, but they are up front. So do you move Nylander for that? And I know there's people who expect him to be moved for that. But we're into uncharted territory. We are 2 weeks away from him potentially signing in the KHL and going over and playing in Europe. And he'll never get that money back. He'll make some money from the KHL or any European league that'll have him. But he's not going to make back the money he would have made as an NHL level player. He's not going to get 7 or 8 million overseas. And I've always thought that was weird. That let's say I want $8 million. All right, I want $8 million. I think I'm worth $8 million. Team's offering me 6. I say, all right, well, I don't think I'm going to play for that. So I decide I'm going to sit out. I reach this point. The deadline passes. Now I'm going to sign and play for, say, $1.5 or $2 million to play 40 games somewhere else. There's still a risk there. I can get hurt. Things happen. I could get injured. It's the same risk I'm taking. And potentially, I could come out of that with a chance to make even less money at the NHL level, or worse. And I've always found that odd that a player will say, all right, well, I'll just go ahead and take less money. You'll never get that money back. And that's the one thing that I would say to Nylander right now. Like, okay, if you don't take the 6.5 or 6 or 7 or whatever it is, fine, but you'll never make the money back that you're losing by not signing that deal. So if he wants 8, that's $1.5 million difference. It's a lot of money. But if he doesn't play this year and he doesn't get paid and he's down that money, now he's got to get paid even more to make up the difference. It's a situation where, and I can kind of agree with people who say, well, players, restricted free agents aren't really free agents. Absolutely they're not. There's no offer sheets. Absolutely there isn't, or else Nylander would have got one this summer. It's a situation that, again, I'm trying not to talk about it too much, but it is major. Because this is a player who is a top 6 forward, potentially a top line forward, a guy who could score 60 assists in a season, a guy who, if he focuses on shooting more than passing, could score 30, 35 goals in a season. I have no doubt about that. He's a tremendously talented forward. At this time last year, we were debating about who was more talented, Nylander or Marner. Right now, everybody will say Marner, but a year ago, a lot of people were saying Nylander. Then he went into some cold stretches, and he had some issues with Mike Babcock, which is standard. Mike Babcock will have problems with younger players at times because he wants them to play a certain way, and he doesn't accept anything less, which is part of the reason why Toronto's 14-6 right now. I don't know that there's going to be a trade because I also suspect Toronto wants a lot back in that deal. And I don't know that there's a deal there to be had because there doesn't seem to be any news of him moving off of his number or Toronto moving off of theirs. I haven't heard either side saying, maybe we'll look at a bridge deal, because everybody thinks bridge deal would make a lot of sense, myself included. A lot of pundits are saying bridge deal makes a lot of sense. Neither side to this date has said, we'll consider it. If anything, they're entrenching themselves. It seems like they're saying, you know what, screw it. Kyle Dubas went overseas. He talked to Nylander, and nothing came out of that. And there's been a lot of things that nothing has come out of that's gone on. And at some point, Kyle Dubas seems like a very hard-nosed guy. He's a young kid, but he seems very hard-nosed and very old-fashioned in how he's approaching this. Honestly, at this point, I don't think Nylander plays in the NHL this year. I don't. Because I don't think the offers that are going to be coming in are going to be enough for the Leafs to say, you know what, we're going to give up this asset. But at the same time, I don't see the Leafs giving in to his demands or him giving up his demands. How do you guys feel about this situation right now? Again, I'm not going to report on this every day until we get some resolution for this. I'm not going to report on it again until probably after that deadline, and then what that does to him in his career. Because again, you can't get this year back. 21 years of age, man. This is when you're putting up all kinds of points. You play some of the best hockey of your career, and you're going to throw that away over maybe $1.5 million. He's never going to make it back. All right. Let me know your thoughts as always in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just tap upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.